I wonder what's going on in the VTuber community today. I'm terminating my work with Sinder.
Oh shoot, what happened?
So Sinder has been manipulating me, dragging me into drama, and sabotaging who I thought were her closest friends.
Oh, for real?
Huh. Based on what you provided, there's someone named Redacted, and they're saying bad things about Bao. Yeah, Redacted is Sinder's manager, and as you can see, he's slandering Bao and other creators. Huh, yeah, I can see that. He is saying really bad things about Bao. Right? And not only that, he tried to make an exclusivity deal with me, as well as blacklisting other creators. Based on what you provided in your doc, I don't see Sinder or Redacted actively blacklisting creators, but I do see the exclusivity deal that they were trying to make with you. Yeah, and they even stated that the more clients I have, the less special my work is. Yeah, they got it wrong. It's actually reversed. The more clients you have, the more special your work is, because here, the supply, which is you, one artist, is low, and the demand, which is everyone that wants your art, is high. Thank you, and they say it's simply business to justify sabotaging other VTubers. Well, based on what you provided, Nano, it doesn't look like Sinder and Redacted are actively trying to sabotage other VTubers. If anything, what I'm seeing here is Redacted venting to you, as well as Sinder and Redacted setting up the terms and conditions of the exclusivity deal that they want to make with you. Second of all, content creation is a business. Artists and VTubers are naturally underneath that umbrella. Oh yeah? What about when Red asked me to cancel Bao's model? Wait, what? Redacted just asked you if you canceled models, not asked you to cancel Bao's model. Oh yeah? What about when they manipulated me into canceling VTuber 1's model? They kept this hush-hush. Wait, what? Redacted just asked you if you told VTuber 1 you canceled because of Sinder, not cancel VTuber 1's model. Wait a minute. Are these private DMs? Huh? Yeah, these are private DMs with my client Sinder and Redacted. Nano, by publicly posting client private info to the public without the sender's consent, this is a potential case of invasion of privacy. And not only that, this is a hit on your brand, because who would want to commission work with an artist that is willing to leak private client info to the public, as well as said termination of work with said client in public? Oh yeah? Sinder and Redacted still manipulated me. Okay, so the argument that they manipulated you is weakly supported at best, because in the Google Doc that you provided, you showed that you can stand up to Sinder and Redacted by stepping back on the exclusivity deal that they offered you. Not only that, Sinder and Redacted showed understanding when you backed away from the exclusivity deal. I was hurt personally and professionally by Sinder and her manager. Okay, I can see the personal part, which, by the way, sorry to see that, but why you say professionally? Because Redacted and Sinder have been actively sabotaging ongoing commissions and blocking VTubers like myself from having access to Nanoless's art. Oh shoot, for real? Wait a minute. You're reusing Nanoless's screenshots. Well, yeah, I'm using Nanoless's screenshots to address all the things that Redacted said about me. Oh yeah. Redacted did say a lot of bad stuff about you. Yeah, for example, the whole thing with apparently me hijacking their YouTube editor. Huh. You do indeed provide evidence that you've been working with Kaiser since 2023. Not only that, you provide a screenshot with a call that you had on Discord with a group of people and Kaiser, encouraging Kaiser to take the exclusivity deal with Sinder and Redacted. Heck, even your channel manager, Jun Mitsui, and Scaramore can attest to the claims you made in the call. Yeah, and since I've worked with Sinder for years, I understand how Sinder and Redacted operate, and this experience leads me to believe that everything that Redacted said, Sinder knew and approved of those messages. Whoa, Bao, that's a really big assumption. Managers don't typically tell their talents everything, so everything that Redacted said, Sinder may not have known about, and if Sinder didn't know about it, then how could she approve of those messages? However, in your defense, Redacted is still Sinder's manager and represents Sinder, so ultimately, the responsibility and blame fall on to Sinder, even if Sinder didn't approve of those messages. Alright then, Smarty Pants. What about Red and Sinder sabotaging me? Well, first off, in your document, you rely heavily on Nanoless's screenshots without providing any evidence of your own regarding sabotage. Second of all, that exclusivity agreement that would have barred you from Nanoless, which you have every right to be mad about, didn't happen because Nanoless stepped back. Other than that, there is no proof in these screenshots that Nanoless was coerced or manipulated into canceling your VTuber model. Here's my experience working with Sinder and Redacted. Oh, is this in regards to what Redacted said about you going anonymously in-house? Yeah, I told Bao that I wanted to go anonymous and in-house because I really wanted to focus on my own projects in 2025. Okay, that's pretty cool. So, long story short, I worked on an MV project with Sinder and Redacted back in 2024. The working conditions weren't so great because it got to the point where I felt passive-aggressively publicly blamed for being late on the MV when I wasn't late on the MV, and I didn't receive the assets for the MV until closer to the deadline, and despite the tight deadline. Oh shoot, I'm sorry to see that, man. Yeah, the working conditions got so bad that I had to skip a Thanksgiving after having a family member pass just to have this MV out. So this ordeal made it feel like an attack on my work ethic, which I take a lot of pride in. But anyway, I digress. This is a poorly organized Google Doc, so feel free to DM me if you have any questions. Moving forward, Redacted is no longer my manager and no longer represents the Sinder brand. Okay, well that tracks, especially now that everyone knows what Redacted said to Nanoless regarding Bao and other content creators. Redacted is also Sinder's lover. Okay, I didn't know that Sinder and Redacted were dating as well. You know what? Screw it. Sinder cheated on Redacted with me. Bro, what? Wait, who the freak is Tashi? Oh, Tashi is Sinder before she became Sinder. Okay. Dude, this is like 4 to 5 years ago. Yeah, and I've been keeping this to myself for years, so it's really nice to finally get some closure from this. By typing all of this up and posting it to the public in a Google Doc? Yeah, all I can hope for is that she takes all of this as an opportunity to change and grow as a person. Oh, well, I'm glad you got your personal revenge. But personally, I feel like you just should have kept that private. Sinder has been copying me. But don't you have similar model themes? Yes, but I have 4 instances in where Sinder copied me. Okay, I'll bite. I don't know if this is considered copying, per se. What do you mean? Our designs are oddly similar, right? Well, of course your themes are similar. You're a Cerberus VTuber and Sinder's a Hellhound VTuber. Plus the 4 instances of copying that you claim is copying, it's kind of hard to call it copying when the period between the alleged copying ranges from 2 weeks, to 2 months, to 8 months, and then a year. Okay, well there's an instance where Sinder and others accused someone's OC of copying her design. Wait, what? Huh. Yeah, you're right. Sinder did bad there. I am VTuber 1. Oh shoot, you're VTuber 1? Yeah, and for the record, I barely interact with Sinder. There was one time where we interacted at my meet and greet, and the other time where she reached out to do collaborations with me, but I politely declined those collaborations. Oh, I see. You're also reusing Nanoless's screenshots here. Yeah, and she also posted a picture of me and her together at my meet and greet without my consent, and plus, it's really sad to know that she's the reason why my model got cancelled. Okay, first of all, I'm really sorry to see that Sinder posted that picture without your consent, but second of all, you're really relying heavily on Nanoless's screenshots like Bao without providing any evidence of your own regarding Sinder actively sabotaging you. Everyone, here is my apology. Okay, let's see what you have to say. Guys, it doesn't matter what I say, the situation isn't going to get any better, so allow me to explain. First of all, Redacted is my lover. Nanoless canceled those models of her own volition. When I say it's just simply business, it's me accepting Nanoless's business decision. Now, in terms of the exclusivity deal, I had no direct part in the negotiation, so if I had known that my friends Bao and Cotton were on there, I would have done something about it. Now, with Silvervale, I was constantly compared to her, which led me to become bitter towards her, which then led me to become unapologetically evil towards her, and there's no excuse for this. She didn't do anything to me. With Spite, I didn't copy her, but she should not have received the hate that she received because of the comparisons between me and her. And in regards to me attacking an OC and saying that they copied my design, I'm assuming that OC's creator was Nyantails. I was very protective of my design back then, and I overreacted. So later on, I apologized to Nyantails, came to an agreement, and I thought the matter was settled. At the beginning of my online career, I was a GFE ASM artist, and I met Rayne, and I messed around with Rayne. I regret the things I did with Rayne, and I was really lucky to mend my relationship after this. Now with Peaches, I'm really sorry that I made you feel forgotten, and I do cherish our friendship. Okay, well, thanks for explaining yourself. To Nano, Bao, Scaramore, Cotton and Lily, Silvervale, Spite, Rayne, Vampeaches, the Pyropups, and everyone else that was affected, I'm sorry. And it shows that there's a lot of things that I need to address and improve on if I am to continue being a creator. Aww, I accept your apology, Cinder. Cinder, how could you not have known? Stop hiding behind Red. Yeah, you should be ashamed of your actions. The Pyropups deserve better. Whoa, Shylily, where the freak did you come from? What do you mean? I've been here the entire time. In fact, I was the first person Nano leaked the DMs to. Wait, what? Cinder, we thought you were better than this. Cinder, how dare you hurt our Oshis? We're gonna send hate your way and burn your merch. I'm okay with you guys burning her merch. Shylily, what the heck? Hey, if that's how they cope with it, that's how they cope with it. You can also donate the merch. Whoa. So you're telling me this all started because of you? Yeah, after Nano showed me the DMs, I reached out to Bao after her surgery and we made a group chat together to expose Cinder. Yep, I was also told multiple times to include Cinder's personal relationship, as well as being told that if I didn't speak up, no one else would. And at the end of the day, I thought that a Google Doc would be the best way to expose Cinder. I also encouraged Nano to inform the people that were mentioned in the DMs. Whoa, guys, don't you guys think you're taking this a bit too far? How so? Well, based on the screenshots that Nanoless provides, the only bad things that Cinder and Redacted did was talk bad about creators behind their back and try to strike an exclusivity deal with Nano, which Nano stepped back from. So when you think about it, no one was actually harmed or sabotaged because the screenshots show no proof of that. So I fail to see how this justifies a public shaming campaign against Cinder. In fact, my next question is, why didn't you guys handle this in private? Well, for me personally, they didn't have the common courtesy to talk to me privately about these things over the years. Also, Cinder and Redacted did try to reach out to Nano privately, but like the Giga Chad she is, she blocked them. Nano, what the heck? So, you guys are all just telling me that instead of resolving this like mature adults privately, you thought it best to make it public and drag your fans and the public into this drama, making the VTuber space more toxic overall? No, we're just saying that this was the best way to expose Cinder for who she really is. Guys, the messages between Redacted and Nanoless were meant to be private. They were not meant to be shown to the public. In fact, by doing this little stunt, you may have opened a potential case of defamation by implication. Defamation by implication? Defamation by implication is a form of defamation where true statements are used to create a false and defamatory impression of someone, even though the statements are true. It's a form of defamation where the implied harm is not stated directly, but rather arises from how statements are presented or left out. Okay, well, all the screenshots that are in my doc are all true. That may be true, Nanoless, but based on the screenshots that you provided in your doc, it looks like there's some missing context. Not only that, you took a true statement and created a false and defamatory impression of someone. The example here is when you claimed that Redacted asked you to cancel Bao's model, but on closer inspection of the screenshot, Redacted just asked you if you canceled models. Okay, but isn't the way that Sinder used an exclusivity deal sabotage? Nope, not really. If you look at the screenshot Nanoless provides where Redacted is setting up the terms and conditions of the exclusivity deal, you can see that Redacted states, "Don't work with these people at all again." Now, it would have been considered sabotage if the terms and conditions actually stated, "When you accept this deal, cancel the work you're doing for these people mid-progress." But wait, wouldn't this still be considered sabotage? Because it's stifling competition. That would be the case if there was only one artist making VTuber models and VTuber art. However, there are many artists out there that are willing to make VTuber models and VTuber art. So if you think about it, if the deal had gone through, then it would have encouraged the VTubers affected to look at other artists and support them. Okay, it still doesn't change the fact that Sinder did bad. Okay, but you guys did bad as well. How so? Well, because of you guys' little stunt, Sinder was punished far more than she deserved. The punishment doesn't match the crime of talking bad behind other creators' backs or making an exclusivity deal with an artist. In fact, Sinder may have received major damages from this, such as loss of brand deals and sponsorships, which means less income for her to use, reduced social media engagement and follower count, and possible negative public sentiment and targeted harassment, which, let's be real guys, it's very possible. Ugh, that does sound pretty bad. And the worst part about all of this is the fact that smaller indie VTubers might start doing the same things that Shylily and Bao and Nanoless are doing to Sinder right now, making the VTuber space more toxic overall. Wait, what do you mean? I'm saying that Shylily and Bao are leading examples of the indie VTuber scene, so it makes sense that smaller VTubers that look up to these bigger VTubers will think, if they did that, maybe I'll follow suit. I have created a Google Doc against someone I don't like and I have posted it on the internet. See what I mean? Oh, that guy may be onto something. Guys, despite everything I've said thus far, it doesn't change the fact that Sinder and Redacted hurt others with their actions. Redacted saying bad things about Bao and other creators behind their back. Sinder and Redacted trying to make an exclusivity deal with Nano, which I guess is bad. Sinder being unapologetically evil to Silvervale for no reason other than herself. Sinder being messy with Rayne 4 to 5 years ago when she was still Tashi. Sinder making Vampeaches feel forgotten. But despite all the bad she's done, she has done a lot of good. She has made a lot of content that has made many people happy. In fact, her content may have helped people get out of a rough patch in their life. And in her apology, she took some accountability for the allegations placed against her, as well as apologizing to everyone involved, and the Pyropups. So, with that in mind, don't you guys think we should give Sinder a second chance? Nah, I wouldn't have believed her apology either way. Bro, what the heck? The healing journey begins. You know what? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and touch some grass.